Hello, and welcome to Defined by Ethan McKellar. Today's subject is education spending. The base definition of education spending is the money that is spent on teachers' pay as well as funding for grants. Grants for research projects and funding money into states to pay for teachers' salaries. Grants also go into funding for tuition. The recent growth of our academic output from education has fallen behind other nations, and we have noticed this outcome for years now. In the 2015 PISA test, the United States never cracked the top 10, in which it was dominated by Singapore. One of the reasons for this stagnation has been caused by Common Core education. Our standards have been lowered, in which we create a ceiling for the students in which they keep rising together to make it look like a staircase essentially. 7th grade, 8th, 9th are essentially all blocked together with very little room for people to advance forward. We lowered our standards for what we expect out of education, and students have been discouraged by bad grades and limited access to teachers. One of the main problems with this blocking of grades is the rise of education has also increased the number of students per classroom. This blocking doesn't allow for students that are behind to really keep up, and because you'll have students that are reading at the 6th grade, and then you'll have students that are reading at 9th or 10th in the 7th grade alone, and yet they won't be able to jump forward to where they're supposed to be, or they can't really be held back for where they're supposed to be. And this causes an influx of students in the classroom, in which the recommended size for a classroom is around 18 students per teacher. However, this number has increased to 30 to 40 students per teacher. And that sounds insane, but that's what's happened. That is literally what's happened. Kids don't get that one-on-one interaction to help teach them and help them through these problems that they're having with the subject. Someone might be stuck on factoring a quadratic, while another student might be not understanding how to do the basics of multiplication and addition. It's polarizing where a person's supposed to be in a grade, and they just get held back by being pushed forward. This causes students to be discouraged and may lead them to drop out of education and not to seek a further education. Both major political parties would agree that there is something wrong with our system and that something needs to be done. Proposals include pause. Proposals include fixing the system by scrapping Common Core, getting it out, and putting back in a national standard. Some proposals for fixing the system include scrapping Common Core altogether and creating a new national standard and/or creating a tuition-free college system and putting that into the education system. The reason for this is the large amounts and sums of student debt. The student debt has increased into a burdensome thing for students coming straight out of college, and the job market is being so shallow for what they're looking for. It causes them to not be able to pay off their debts for many years. A different solution for this is also scrapping Common Core and creating a national standard yet again, and replacing, or quote unquote replacing, college with apprenticeships and internships to give hands-on learning with what they're going to be doing in their careers. So this is a system that favors employers as they get hands-on direct learning experience with what they're going to be doing instead of what they could be doing. However, this doesn't allow them to move out of that career. It kind of locks them into that one career path and they can't really move out. Our job market does highly value these apprenticeships and internships. Many people during college will indeed go into internships and will get that experience with companies, studios, and organizations. The desire for experience has grown rampantly. It has been a joke in which the job market more or less looks for a person that's 25 that has the experience of a 50-year-old and is ready to settle down and work for 10 years straight. However, that's not realistic in any place or standard. One thing that's been favored by one political party and dismissed by the other is the tuition-free college. This system is rather interesting. At least I believe so. In which a normal college has 3 different fees: tuition, room and board, and books and fees. Tuition-free college eliminates tuition. However, colleges still make a profit off of these two systems. Wow, I spelled that wrong. We would see an increase in the room and board fees, and maybe an increase in the books. But thinking about it, it really makes sense. And it removes the largest barrier between colleges and students. This would increase the amount of people that can be enter the higher education requirement for jobs. The economy of the United States stands to gain from this, as service sector has grown so much over the last few years. It's rather impossible to just ignore it. It is commonly stated that our education system needs a good overhaul and needs to be fixed. Students, their academic output is declining, and we're not facing that. We're not doing anything about that. Our academic input needs to be going up. We're falling behind on science, mathematics, and reading. The countries we've begun to most relate to have begun Israel, Croatia, Spain, and even France, and education. However, the top of the list has become populated by Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Canada, and more. Every day, we are falling behind. We say that we're going to fix this somehow. We need results. Putting more money into education isn't working. We need an overhaul. We need to fix how we're doing this. Education of the people that the education of students is highly important. The more educated we are, the more we understand. Education establishes what our future is going to look like.